what we officially call this building or this room, but the auditorium for our board meeting conference room. Thank you for coming. Tonight is the budget proposal public input meeting. So I see we have, I don't know how many people from the public, but maybe a few. But what we'll do is ask Ms. Meunier to go through our budget proposal, and then at the end we'll open it up for questions. So Tina, appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just said all right. I sound like Matt. Good evening. Pardon? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So tonight is our budget proposal for fiscal year 22-23. Last time we had our big budget department of myself and Billy here. And Billy has taken a job with Dorchester 4 as their CFO. They had an opening there, and it's so close to his house, and he wanted to go and bring all his knowledge and expertise to them. So we have promoted from within. So our comptroller is now our director of finance, Adam Swearingen. So I wanted to introduce him. So we're catching him up to speed. He's been involved with the budget calculations, and you'll see more of him now as well. So ask him all the hard questions. So as you remember from last time, we had a state funding change. The governor proposed a new methodology for allocating the state funds to school districts for this year. Our favorite base student cost is no longer part of the calculation, so it makes things a little more tricky, but they've come up with a different formula. So now, instead of using a base student cost, they're calling it, no longer have EFA, it is the Aid to Classrooms program. So the factors that are included with this calculation are the number of teachers needed to serve the estimated number of students based on a prescribed ratio and the cost of a teacher. As you'll remember from last time, the governor's proposal used a target ratio of 11.7 student teachers. That's not the number of teachers to students. That's just part of the calculation. He used 11.7, and the cost of the teacher was defined as a master's degree with 12 years experience and fringe benefits at 66.9. So the total for the program was calculated at $4.2 billion. State share of 75%, local share of 25%. It still falls in line with how we receive 75% funding in our budget from the state, and local kicks in 25%, so we're right on target with that. So the Aid to Classrooms program combines a lot of different accounts that used to have separate allocations. So we no longer have state aid to classrooms or teacher salary supplements or employer contributions. All of those figures have been rolled up into one. The thought process was that it would provide us more flexibility in our general fund. We receive these monies and we flex them over to the general fund anyway, so it's really not too much of a difference for what we do here at Dorchester 2. Some of the requirements in the governor's proposal was, of course, that we must meet the statewide minimum salary schedule, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And unfortunately, in the governor's program, some of the student weightings were adjusted. The CTE weights were eliminated. The dual credit weightings were eliminated. We'll talk more about that in a minute as well. So the governor's proposal actually gave us a decrease in funds. We heard about that back in January and February, and it scared us a little bit of losing $2 million. We didn't want to lose $2 million. We can't really afford that. However, the House Ways and Means got a hold of it after that, so thankfully they were able to make some adjustments. They put some more money towards it and towards their proposal, and they used the student-teacher ratio of 11.2, which helped us. They did say that the minimum teacher salary scale would be increased $4,000, so the starting pay would be $40,000. We were already at $39,723, so it would only be an adjustment of $277. We were going to be able to handle that just fine. We had, in some of the other cells, there were about 215 teachers that would have needed to be adjusted, but the cost to do that was only $210,000, so we were very close to what that scale was already, so we were good. The total for the program was calculated at $4.6 billion. Again, the state share and local share was the same. So by proviso, we would receive the amount determined in this new formula or the actual FY22 dollars. So their calculation increased our budget $2 million. So we weren't losing it, we were going to gain $2 million. So that was great. So after it went through the House Ways and Means, now it's gone through the Senate. So the Senate Finance Education Subcommittee finalized its proposal last week. So some of the adjustments from the House proposal were that the minimum teacher salary scale would be increased by $2,000. The House version was to increase by $4,000. So the starting salary for the minimum teacher salary scale would be $38,000. Again, we're already at $39,723, so we're above the minimum salary scale. We have 25 positions that were $5,000 short in total. So we're even closer with our scale. The teacher cost for the calculation was 66.5, it was 66.9. And the student ratio is 10.5. So all of these changes were great. It actually gave us additional increase of $1.9 million coming out of the Senate Finance, which we were hoping we would get some more money. We were so glad. Some of the student weightings that were added back that we just talked about that were deleted from the House version. So Kate was added back, the limited English proficiency was added back, but speech was deleted. That's just a small weighting, so we're okay with that. Well, we would like to not lose any weighting, but if it has to be small. Ma'am? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to show you all the totals in just a few minutes. These are all my words first. As you remember from last time, we talked about the average daily membership at the 45th day report was 24,666 students here for DD2. We just finished our 135th day, and I should have brought that total. I think we had decreased by 50 students. There were some schools that increased and some decreased, so there was an overall 50 decrease for 135th day for this year. And our weighted pupil units for this year is 36,342. A hot topic that always comes up is our fund balance. We talked about this last time. I'm so happy about our fund balance, the proviso that was passed to suspend the cap of 15% for this coming up year. That's very helpful because we've had some savings over the past couple of years. Because of COVID, we were closed. We had some energy savings when we were closed. We didn't use as much supply money. We didn't have as many substitute teachers. They just weren't coming during the pandemic, so we had some savings. So our general fund budget, our fund balance of our general fund budget is at 17.3% at the end of the year. GFOA recommends 16.7%, which is 2 months worth of operating expenditures, which we would love to be able to have that, but unfortunately we are limited locally to 15%. So the only reason we're able to go above the 15% cap right now is because of that proviso. We'll have to see if we can work on the state to eliminate that so that we can have more than the 15%. I just wanted to give y'all an update on our CARES Act, our ESSER 1 federal funding money that we received. We were allocated $3.5 million. We only have $43,000 left of that. We spent almost all of that. The grant ends September 30th of 22. I see some of my finance folks in the back who help us to keep track of all of this, and Anna does a great job with helping me with all this ESSER. There's a lot of it, and we keep track of it, and so I really appreciate her help with that. We were able to purchase plexiglass above what the state gave us for free, additional custodial supplies. We were able to purchase the iPads and for the younger grades that we didn't originally purchase, so it was very helpful to get those funds back at the beginning of the pandemic. In our ESSER 2 funds, we were allocated $18 million. We've spent a little over 50% of that. We have $8.2 million remaining. That grant ends 9/30/23. So our big push on the ESSER 2 as well as the ESSER 3 are an emphasis on summer remediation programs, air quality, and building repairs to promote safety. We have really beefed up our summer programs last year and again this year. We were able to hire some additional teachers to reduce class sizes last year. We were able to hire permanent subs during the time when we weren't able to get subs. We hired folks to be able to float around in the building in case there was an area where we needed a permanent sub. We also purchased ionization units for cleaner air, and we were able to utilize some of our indirect costs over to the general fund.
Ms. Monet, can I ask, a lot of those things that we use ESSER funds for are going to last a long time, but what are we going to do when it's gone with the ESSER not having that for our summer programs and for additional teachers?
So those additional teachers, with reducing the class sizes, we'll be able to bring them back into the fold, I guess you would say, through attrition and folks who are retiring. So we'll be able to continue them. We just won't let them go. We're not going to turn them out into the street. We'll be able to bring them back in with us.
And our summer programs will be able to maintain?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We were always we always had summer programs. We charged for summer programs, and we haven't done that for the past 2 summers because we've had this funding. So we may have to go back to charging for that.
Okay.
But
Thank
yes,
you.
ma'am. The last allocation that we received was the ESSER 3 funding, and we were allocated $40.5 million. We haven't spent very much of that yet. We have $35 million to go. The big push on this is addressing the recovery of learning loss. Again, we're able to have these summer programs. We have special needs camps, after-school tutoring, reading, math camps. We were able to purchase some educational technology. We're in the process of hiring additional mental health counselors through the Dorchester County, oh gosh, I can't remember their official name, mental health group, and social workers. So those 2 groups have been a little bit difficult because they're in such demand and not a lot of folks for us to pull from. We've put some feelers out, and we have some folks coming to help us, but we have not been able to fill some of those positions yet.
Can I ask again
Yes.
another question? And I know you're right, we need more of those. When we hire them through the Department of Mental Health, do we get them 100% of the time, or are they shared with the Department of Mental Health and us? How does that work?
They're not shared. They're with us, but I think they float from different schools on different days.
Okay.
Or counselors for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
So-
we were able to get some additional ones this year, but not as many as what we had budgeted.
Permanently?
They're having a hard time as well.
Permanently?
The Department of
Did
Mental
you get
Health. That's
some
the group
permanently?
I was trying to think of their name.
Did we get some permanently?
We hire them through a contract with the Department of Mental Health. We pay that contract, and they hire them. They hire them, I'm sorry. So here is our general fund budget revenues in pie chart format for you to see. The biggest 52.6% of these revenues are that new category of aided classrooms. Before it was just split into some other pie shapes, but it's all together now. We also have the local taxes is our next big piece of that blue, 26%. We also have other state taxes and state revenue in lieu of taxes. Those are our monies that come. When Act 388 was implemented, we get that penny sales tax. That's the amount of money that comes to us from the state. So in all, our state revenues are at 72.7%, a little under the 75. In our expenditures, We have instruction at 61%, instructional support is 9%, and our school management is 8%. Those are our principals. So directly affecting the students every day is 78%. So we're above the old requirement of making sure that we are at 70%. So we want to make sure that we always stay good with the state. The other categories fall under that: transportation, safety, facilities, custodial, business services, district leadership. And here's no shock. We pay 87% of our budget in salaries and benefits. So we only have 13% to run all of our programs, but our staff is our biggest asset, and we want to make sure that we take care of our staff. So I should have said so let me point out the revenue changes here that also came out of the Senate. So the additional $2,405,468 is made up from the $1.9 million that we got from the aid to classrooms that came out of the Senate Finance. And then state revenue in lieu of taxes, we had talked about last time, where that's the Act 388 money. And I wasn't exactly sure of what our total was going to be, so we were able to increase that amount. So that slide does look a little funny because we have $125 million revenue change, but we also have a negative $117 million. That's because they rolled up all of those different line items. So this makes our total additional state and local revenues at $11,166,348. That's additional $2.4 million of what we brought to you the last time. So for our expenditure increases, one of the things that came out of the Senate Finance Committee, so our Senator Sean Bennett is the chair of the Education Committee, and one of the things that he said was, with this additional money, make sure you pay your teachers. So we were able to use that money to give all the teachers, everyone who's on the teacher salary scale and then the admin scale, a $1,000 increase. So we're going to increase our scale by $1,000 for all of those folks, plus all of the other required increases that we had with the health insurance on the employer costs, the 1% retirement increase. They still will get the average of 2% for a step, so that was one thing that was still required. We did include the step increase for all other employees, which is an average of 2% as well. We had the additional cost for the new middle school, also eliminating the 10% retiree reduction, yay. Technology support for our student co-op program to help with the MLSs, and the media assistance in the schools, and then increase just for other expenditures and transfer to other programs of $294,000. So that makes our expenditures increased by $11,637,344. So it's just a slight difference of $470,996. So maybe at the next step, when it gets back together, we'll get a little more money. I feel like we'll be okay though. With that little small difference, we'll be able to figure that out. Unless we want to ask the county for a tax increase. I don't know how y'all feel about that, because I think they're going to ask us tomorrow. We have a budget meeting with the county tomorrow, Mr. Pye and myself and Adam, to meet with the administrator and the CFO. And that would be one thing that they would ask us. I don't know how y'all feel about that. Good answer?
Excuse me. The money that we gave out, I thought that was for everybody in the district. It wasn't just
bonus
teachers,
money?
was it? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Everyone got the bonus.
Everybody got the bonus. So this is in addition.
This is for next year's,
Okay, but this is going to be in addition to that, and it will just be teachers and administrators. It will not be everybody.
right. This will be an increase on the teacher salary scale and the admin salary scale,
Okay.
in addition to their step. So all the words in numbers here, our local property taxes, our state revenue in lieu of taxes, that's one of the areas that went up. The aid to classrooms went up a little bit, so Our total proposed budget for FY 22-23 is now $237,098,393. And then our expenditures, we have for instruction, that's our teachers, instructional support, media assistant, media specialists, psychologists, nurses, everyone who provides instructional support. I guess not, I'm sorry, not nurses. School management are the principals, transportation and safety, of course, facilities. Our total expenditures are $237,569,389, which brings us to a difference of only $470,996. Some of the items that we don't have built into the budget, we had talked about this last time, was the allocations per student of $52.50 that we give to the schools to purchase some supplies and pay for their copiers and those items. We have not changed that in over 10 years, so we would like to adjust that. It used to be $72, so we'll work on that, or $75, I'm sorry. And the other item that I just wanted to point out was in the House proposal, the state minimum salary schedule was to increase by $4,000. And remember, we had talked about that if they didn't have that proviso coming out of the Senate, that we would be required to pay everyone that additional $4,000. It was going to cost us $9.3 million. But the Senate proposed the increase at $2,000, and they said you're not required to pay an increase beyond the step if the district already pays above the state minimum salary schedule. So now it has to go back to conference committee to see what the House and the Senate will agree upon. So I'm not really sure how that's going to turn out. So maybe they'll meet somewhere in the middle, and we might have to adjust our budget one more time. We still have a little bit more time. But I wanted to tell you what the calendar was on that. I'm sorry. Okay, so it still has to go through the full Senate. They are debating that this week and next week, and then it will go back to the House for the conference committee for compromises. That will take place May 3rd through the 5th, and then it will go, the conference committee report will be written May 10th through the 12th, and then it goes to the governor on the 12th. We will make our presentation to county council on May 9th, so we will propose to them what we have as the latest information from the state. So we'll see what the conference committee outcome is. Some of the major initiatives of DD2 are to complete our district office renovation. We're almost done with that. It'll be our final project from the referendum. Yay, we just have a little bit left to go. We're working on the new middle school that will open in August. We're using impact fees and our GO bond debt for that. And then we'll continue addressing the recovery of learning loss using ESSER funds. We have a few more meetings to go. Again, this is our public input meeting. Then we have a public hearing on May 2nd, and we'll report any new information that we have from the state then, or from the county. As I said, we have our meeting with them tomorrow, so if they've recalculated their numbers, maybe we can get past our little deficit. Those were just preliminary numbers that we got the first time from the auditor's office. And then y'all will approve the budget before we go to county council. And then we'll have third reading, they'll have third reading on June 20th. So we still have a little bit of time for the process, and we'll see, like I said, what other information comes out of the state and the county. So that is all I had.
Thank you, Ms. Meunier. Any questions from those of you in attendance for Ms. Meunier or the board? Oop, got one back there.
So is there a plan to come up to the microphone? Hello. Is there a plan to give raises for all instead of just teachers and administrators? Because usually that's what we do. Do you know?
there's already a step increase for all employees already included in the budget. This was just for certified and non-certified, yes. Operations folks,
Great.
everybody.
Okay.
The $1,000 was on top of that.
Okay. And then second was the ratios that they use. Can you clarify for people who might not know, how are all of those people actually educating children, or some of them not?
So that's a good question that I don't know the answer to. I really don't know how they came up with the ratio of the 10.7. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I think there's a way.
I think my understanding of that, and correct me if anybody else knows differently, my understanding is that deals with the number of quote-unquote educators in a classroom building. So for instance, administrators, counselors, anybody who could, specialists, all the special areas, anybody who could essentially have control over classrooms or be able to control students in some aspect goes into that calculation. So there you go, the 250, right. Anybody who gets the $250 stipend, I believe it is.
So you're correct that in saying that it's not an accurate description of actual teacher to student ratio. So it's a little misleading. Is that, yes?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question,
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Mitchell?
yeah.
Tina, thank you guys. That's a lot of work to do the budget and
It's fun.
it absolutely nonstop, right? Always good, and the numbers, look at least promising this year.
Yes.
So that's the good news. I did have a question. I know in previous years we've looked at information. We've had it as part of our presentation, looking at what we have lost as a district with regards to like Act 388. Is that information, again, I know you may not have that offhand today, but is that something we can maybe add back into the presentation?
Absolutely, yes.
I think it's always good, especially for legislators,
Sure.
county council as well as legislators, so they can see what we lose as a district from Act 388.
Yes.
I think is important. As well as, I don't know, in the past, I don't think we've put the FILO numbers in there, our fee in lieu of. That could be another one, just from a presentation perspective, especially to county council,
Sure.
so that they know and they can see, hey, when we did this, when we gave this FILO, the district lost X amount of dollars. So they can see both sides of that equation.
Okay, sure. That's in our audit report, so I can pull those out of
Yeah,
there.
just a thought. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. Any other board members have questions for Ms. Meunier? Doesn't appear as though there are any other public comments, any questions. Thank you, Ms. Meunier. Thank you for the real good news, and we look forward to
Okay, to the Senate
maybe
Finance.
it continuing that trend next time.
That's right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you again for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ms. Meunier, we are going to Columbia again next week, so we will do some of us are our very best to
Good.
reiterate everything that we know we need to. Sometimes we
Absolutely,
feel
that'd be great.
it falls on deaf ears, but we're still going to go.
That would be great. I'll get you that information too, about the fee in lieu and the Act 388. That's really good information. Adam and I were looking at our assessed values and what the value of a mill for Dorchester 2, because of Act 388, is only $360,000. But for debt, it's double that, because we're not able to tax on real property. So, and that's where, as you were saying, we've lost probably over $100 million by now. It's probably 120
And
million.
they're very aware of that. We tell them that every time, and they put the paper down and say, we're very aware. But we will hand them that paper. It's very disheartening, but we will hand it to them again.
They'll
Thank
listen.
you. Thank you. Ms. Hughes is going over the agenda for the board meeting with Mr. Pye at the moment, so This meeting is now ending, but we do need to call this called board meeting to order, and I need to have someone approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Guthrie approved. Do I have a second?
Ms. Robbins, I'm sorry to interrupt. We may need just a moment to switch the live stream.
We can. Okay, we
Take
can.
just a quick break.
So we'll go ahead and follow through, and we'll just wait. We'll wait.